Welcome for joining us tonight. I'm Samuel Burney, and tonight we're going over the recent gun actions in gun control and gun reform in response to the most recent shootings and demonstrations in Washington and New York. We'll be taking you to our correspondent on the street, Caitlin.
Hi, I'm Caitlin.
I'm Ben.
Nice to meet you.
You too?
So we're on the streets today asking people what they know about gun control and everything that's been going on in terms of gun violence. Do you mind answering a few questions for us today? Why was the Second Amendment created?
To give people access to guns.
Okay. How would you regulate gun control and purchasing?
I'd probably raise the age to buy a gun.
To what age?
Probably 25.
Okay. Why 25?
Just because people are kind of past the college stage
Mm-hmm.
and are better thinkers.
Brains are more developed, yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay. Do you think people should be able to purchase AR-15s?
Yes.
Do you know what an AR-15 stands for?
I don't know what it stands for, but I know it's like an assault rifle.
Okay. Do you know anything about the history of it?
No.
How will teachers carrying guns in schools prevent school shootings?
I mean, they'll have the ability to shoot someone that is coming in.
Okay. How will they definitely know it's the school shooter, I guess?
Because the school shooter will have a gun.
Okay, good point. Yeah. What are the steps to purchase a gun on a national level?
I think you'd have to go through a screening and probably take some sort of test to get a license, maybe like a driver's license, how you take a test.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you probably have to have not a history of violence or incarceration.
Yeah, it definitely varies on state level in terms of violence, what's considered violent and what's not. How will teachers carrying guns in schools prevent school shootings? Or will it not?
I don't think it will, because it'll just make students feel uneasy and unsafe, and
Mhm.
most teachers don't.
What do you know about the most recent school shooter in terms of the Parkland school shooter? And do you know if he was showing any signs of planning a mass shooting?
I think he was definitely like a disturbed individual, and it sounds like he had a troubled past. And it sounds like he definitely woke up that day and knew what he was going to do, which was awful.
Do you know any of his motives, or do you know how old he is, if he graduated from there or anything?
I think he went to that school, and I think he was maybe between 20 and 22, just out of high school, something like that.
Yeah, we're on the streets today asking people about their knowledge in terms of gun control and the recent gun violence. Do you mind answering a few questions for me today?
Sure.
What is the Second Amendment and why was it created?
All I know about the Second Amendment is that it's the right to bear arms. I'm not really sure of anything farther than that.
Yeah, that's great. And lastly, what qualifies someone as mentally ill in regards to being ineligible to purchase a gun?
I think anybody with a diagnosed mental illness, even if it's depression or anything like that, shouldn't be able to own a gun just because it's kind of uncertain how you're going to act, especially even if you're on medication, like you still don't know how you're going to act day to day. And that's, you could be fine one day and just completely miserable the next, and you don't know if you'll be able to keep that in or take it out on somebody else, which is scary.
Yeah, it is scary. Do you know if that is the actual way to determine if someone mentally ill right now, or do you know what qualifies someone as mentally ill?
I just know that, I mean, you can get diagnosed, but I'm not sure like what falls under it besides depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, anything under that.
Definitely. All right, well, those are all the questions I have for you today.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Control and the recent gun violence. Do you mind answering a few questions for me?
Not at all.
Okay, what's the Second Amendment and why was it created?
It's just the right to bear arms.
Do you know why it was created?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
What are the steps to purchase a gun on a national level?
You have to be 18 years old to buy a shotgun, but to get a handgun, you have to be 21.
The country. How would you regulate gun control if you would in gun purchasing? If you wanted to change it at all, if you didn't, if you think it's fine.
I honestly
fine,
think it's fine. Maybe, I don't know, limit the amount of guns that people can buy and carry in their house.
And what would you limit it to?
I don't know, like 5 for every person.
Yeah, did you know actually the average gun owner owns about 16 guns?
No.
Yeah, crazy. What do you know about the most recent school shooter, Nicholas Cruz from Parkland? Do you know if he was showing any signs of planning a mass shooting or anything?
Not at all.
You don't know anything about him?
No. Don't really listen to the news too much about that stuff.
Yes. Okay, the first question I have for you is, what is the Second Amendment and why was it created?
I don't know. Is that is that the right to? No, that's not the right to bear arms, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do you know why it was
No.
created? Okay. Who is the NRA and what are their beliefs?
National Rifle Association,
Yeah.
and they believe in keeping the Second Amendment.
Mhm.
Okay.
What are the steps to purchase a gun on a national level?
I'm not really sure.
Do you
Is
have
there a
any
background?
idea?
I don't think there's a background check, right? And then I don't know.
Do you know how old you have to be to purchase a gun?
18?
Do you think teachers carrying guns in schools will prevent mass shootings, or do you not?
I do not think it will.
Do you have any
Um,
reasons?
I just think that the less guns, the less mass shootings there will be. I think that makes
Nice
sense.
logic. Yeah. That makes Okay, what's the Second Amendment and why was it created?
I have no idea.
No worries. Who is the NRA and what are their beliefs?
The NRA, from what I know about the NRA, is that they are the National Rifle Association,
Yeah.
and they want to basically just defend our rights to bear arms, basically.
Yeah, definitely. What do you know what the steps are to purchase guns on a national level? I know it varies state by state, but
Right.
national.
Not specifics, but I'm sure you need to have a background check and get your LTC, which is your license to carry, and go through many rigorous steps. But like you said, it depends on every state. I know
Yeah.
New Hampshire, you don't even need, scary as it is, you don't need to go through any type of process. You can just buy a gun. Versus
How would you, if you could change the gun laws, how would you regulate gun control and gun purchasing? If you wanted to change it.
Sure, yeah. I know that in different states, there's a huge amount of gun violence, wherever you go. But I definitely feel like if it has to be more leveled out, it has to be, what's the word I'm looking for? It has to be more even played, I feel like. So you can't have everything so strict because, people do have the right to get their LTC.
Yeah, I agree. So do you believe that more intense gun control would take away your rights or?
That's a good question. I don't know. I've personally never owned a gun before. I've kind of teeter-totted the thought about it. But having a more strict gun control, it doesn't really affect me any, but it might, make more people up in arms about it who do carry.
Yeah. And why was it created?
Second Amendment is the right to bear arms, I believe, and it was created, I don't know, I know it was created when they wrote the Constitution. So I think it was, I don't know, I feel like I have to do something with hunting or something like that. I'm not too sure, but.
Yeah. Who is the NRA and what are their beliefs?
The NRA is the National Rifle Association, and their beliefs is regulating gun violence and just having to deal with laws against gun control and all that kind of stuff.
Laws against gun
Or
control.
laws with gun control and stuff, dealing with.
The age. How would you regulate gun control and purchasing a gun if you wanted to change it? If not, that's completely fine.
Yeah, I think there definitely needs to be a change, especially with all the mass shootings that have been happening in the past few years. But one thing I think that they need to regulate is, besides the regular system of buying a gun, is also the other ways that people can buy guns. I think that needs to be regulated more. because there's like I read once that there's 3 types of gun purchases that the government doesn't have any control over. It's hand-to-hand purchase, so if I have a gun, my person, you could just buy it off of me and now you have it. That, gun shows, and online. So I feel like if they want some change, that not only do they need to look at the regular system, but they need to look at the other parts of gun purchases, because I think with the Las Vegas shooting, that's how the man, he was able to buy all those weapons and ammunition and guns. He did a lot of like gun shows and online purchases, so I didn't think that needs to be regulated. But then with the regular system, I think there needs to be a little bit more of an intensive background check, just to make sure that people who are considered mentally unstable aren't able to purchase the guns, and make sure that they go through all the right processes and make sure it's a very thorough process to make sure that this stuff doesn't happen again.
So what do you know about the most recent school shooter, Nicholas Cruz in Parkland? Do you know if he was showing any signs about planning a mass shooting?
I heard that he was not, like, or at least people close to him did not see the signs and everything, but then I also heard that he was posting videos on YouTube about it, which I think if maybe like like some people saw it, but are like, oh, it's just this kid fooling around on the internet, no one really took it seriously.
Well, that was Caitlin on the streets with our interviewees. This is Channel 5 News signing off. Thank you. Next week we'll be covering the Kurdistan crisis in Turkey.